Good morning, students. Today we will see chapter number 15, that is biodiversity and conservation. Before moving to the actual chapter, we will first see regarding the introduction. So, if an alien species comes to our earth, okay, we can see that alien species from the distinct galaxy, if visits our earth for the first time, it would be very much surprised. You may ask me why? By seeing the enormous diversity of life which it could come across. Even the same thing would happen for the human beings. Even the human beings could be so much surprised to see the rich variety of living organism with which they share this planet Earth. And this is not the thing to be astonished. Okay, right. Then the common man like you and me would be would be surprised or would not believe that on our planet or on our earth we could find there are more than 20,000 species of ants, 3,000 species of beetles, 28,000 species of fishes, different variety of fishes, and nearly 20,000 different species of orchids. So this is one mere example, or a single example to tell you that is diversity is going to exist on earth. There are variety of flora and fauna which are present between us, and that is going to fascinate us. Okay, and then many of the ecologists and evolutionary biologists have been trying hard to understand the significance of such diversity on earth. That diversity only itself we are going to study in this chapter, that by the name biodiversity. So this biodiversity is nothing but it is the collection of variety of all forms of life on earth. Collection of variety of all forms of life on earth, or you can also say that it is the sum total of species richness. Sum total of species richness. Species richness in the sense it is the biodiversity comprising of species, all the species of plants, animals and microorganisms, as well as their genetic material and the ecosystem in which they live. And this biodiversity, it was a term which was popularized by a sociobiologist, that is Edward Wilson. So this fellow, that is Edward Wilson, he has been described as Darwin's natural hire. Okay, that is, and an inspirational writer. Darwin's natural hire means the hierarchy of the Darwin, and he was one of the inspirational writer too. Okay, so this biodiversity, as I already told you, it will consist of all the species of plants, animals and microorganisms along with the genetic material and the habitat in which they live, or the ecosystem in which they live. So in our biosphere, as already mentioned, there is an immense diversity which is existing, and this diversity is not only present at the species level but also at all the levels of biological organization or biological classification, ranging from, in the first year you have studied regarding the biological organization. Okay, that is at all the levels of the Linnean hierarchy, beginning from species, you can find the diversity. You can find the diversity right from micromolecules to, not from macromolecules to the macromolecules within the cells to the biome. So from smaller unit to the larger one, you can find there is diversity which is existing. Okay. Then in this chapter you are going to discuss regarding levels of biodiversity, number of species on earth, then the patterns of biodiversity, then loss of biodiversity, then biodiversity conservation. So these are all the points to be covered in this chapter, and we will do it one by one. Then, so as I already told you regarding biodiversity is nothing but the diversity of biological organization. It is a diversity of living forms ranging from cellular macromolecules which are present in the cells to the larger biomes. And this Edward Wilson, he was the one who popularized the term biodiversity. Then coming to the levels of biodiversity. So these levels of biodiversity, you can see your biodiversity can be studied at 3 levels, namely genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecological or ecosystem diversity. So these levels we are going to study one by one. Okay, so this in levels of biodiversity, first of all we will see genetic diversity. So here in genetic diversity, you can see that the diversity is going to exist at the level of individual genes, or you can say diversity which is shown by single species at genetic level is nothing but the genetic diversity. Here they have explained you by giving the example of Rauwolfia omitoria or Himalaya, which shows genetic variation in potency as well as concentration of the chemical rasparin. Okay, so here Rauwolfia, which is a medicinal plant which is growing in the different regions of Himalayas, is going to show, this plant is going to show difference in the potency and concentration of the active chemical rasparin, because it is all due to genetic diversity. Then here this is one example. You can also give the example of here about in India you can find more than 50 different strains of rice. In the left hand side of this slide you can see left hand side you can see different strains of rice are present. 50 different varieties. Strains means varieties of rice you can see. Then on the right hand side of the slide you can see there are 1000 varieties of mangoes which you can see. In India alone in India you can see different varieties of rice as well as mango. So that is accounted or coming under genetic diversity. So this genetic diversity, as I already told you, this genetic diversity is nothing but the diversity at the level of genes. So this genetic diversity is going to arise due to sexual reproduction. You may ask me the question, how does genetic diversity come? Genetic diversity is due to sexual reproduction. And why due to sexual reproduction? Because during sexual reproduction there is recombination as well as variation, and hence your plant breeders and the farmers are going to depend upon genetic diversity in order to improve their crop yield, develop plants which are resistant to pests and insects. Okay, so this is all regarding the genetic diversity. Then coming to the next one is species diversity. So this species diversity, it is nothing but it is a diversity at species level. Okay, diversity which is seen at the species level. For example, Western Ghats you can take. So in the left side of the slide they have shown you the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush as well as Western Ghats, Eastern Ghats. We are now talking about the Western Ghats. Okay, even our Karnataka, Maharashtra is having the Western Ghats. Okay, this Western Ghats has got greater amphibian, it has got a greater amphibian species diversity than the Eastern Ghats. Species diversity than the Western Ghat has got more species, that is amphibian species. The diagram they have given, the right side of the slide, there are the frogs. Those are nothing but the amphibians. So there is more amphibian diversity or the species diversity which is seen in the Western Ghats as compared to the Eastern Ghats. Then this species diversity is going to be seen, or species diversity depends upon the number and richness of the species in a particular region. More the number of species, more is the diversity. Once again, that is, species diversity will depend upon number of species and richness of species in a particular region. More the number of species, more is the diversity. So here, species diversity, or once again you can say that a species diversity is nothing but it is a variety of different species of living organisms found in a given area. In a given area, if you have different variety, that is variety of different species in a given area, that is called as a species diversity. So then next we will move on to is ecological diversity. So ecological diversity, it is nothing but the diversity which is seen at ecosystem or at habitat level. Ecosystem level or habitat level. Okay. So in India, they have given the example, that is, we have variety of ecosystems. India has one of the richest biodiversity of habitats. India has got one of the richest diversity of richest biodiversity of habitats, ranging from, you have variety of land, that is variety of your habitats, the dwelling places, like you have deserts, then rainforest, then mangroves, estuaries, then your coral reefs, wetlands, alpine meadows, etc. So there are variety of habitats which are found in India, right, ranging from deserts to rainforest, mangroves to the cold Himalayas. So this all represents ecological diversity. Okay. So then they may ask you the question, okay, that is, what is define biodiversity and mention different types of diversity. Okay, or they may ask you for 1 mark question, define species diversity or genetic diversity or ecological diversity, like that. Okay, then we'll see the next part, that is here about the magnitude of biodiversity. How many species are there on the earth? Okay, so here number of species on earth, that is global species diversity. Here it is estimated that it is number of species range from a low of 3 million to a high of about 100 million species. Okay, if you go on counting, that is approximately, you can find that is as low as 3 million to as high as 100 million species. Then according to the conservative and scientific study made by Robert May, the diagram of this, the picture of this fellow has been given over here. That is according to the conservative and the scientific study made by Robert May, global species diversity is about 7 million species. Okay, so according to this global estimate, about 7 million species would have on earth, and then more than 70% of the all species recommended, or more than 70% of all the species which are recorded are animals. Okay, animals are more diverse, about 70%, than plants, which includes plantae and fungi. Or you can say there is 70% are animals and 22% of plants, which include algae, fungi, bryophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Okay, then again among animals, as they are constituting 70%. Again in animals, here insects are the most rich species, about in that 70%, that is out of every 10 animals, 7 are insects. Then the number of fungi species is more than the combined total of species of fishes, amphibians, reptiles and mammals. So the chart they have given you, the pie diagram they have shown you, the invertebrates, vertebrates, then about the plants also. Okay. Then here this is all regarding the, or you can say the latest estimate now is about, latest estimate what you find is about 8.7 million species on the earth, with 6.5 million species found on land and 2.2 million species dwelling in the ocean depth. Okay, this is all regarding the world. Okay, now moving on to how many in India. What is the species diversity which you find in India? Okay, in India 2.4, that is India has only 2.4 of the world's land area, but its shares of the global species diversity is 8.1. Therefore, it is considered as one of the 12 mega diversity countries of the world. No doubt, India has 2.4% of the world's land area, but 8.1% of its species diversity is there. And India is one of the 12 mega diversity countries of the world. Nearly 45 species of plants, 45,000 species of plants and twice as many as animals are there. You can say that is out of 45,000 species of plants, 50,000 species of flowering plants are there in India, which counts for 6% of the total plant species in the world. And nearly there are 76,000 species of fauna, which includes invertebrate, insects, fishes, amphibian, reptiles, birds and mammals. This is in brief. Okay, that is regarding the species diversity in India. And by applying May's global estimates, India would have more than 1 lakh plant species, 3 lakh animal species. Okay, then so here a total number of species on the earth, that is global species diversity. Here biologists are not sure about total number of prokaryotic species because of the conventional taxonomical methods are not suitable for identifying microbial species. Okay, and in laboratory many species cannot be cultured. So these are all the problems what you can find. Okay, the next is about the patterns of biodiversity. So here about the patterns of biodiversity, the diversity of plants and animals is not uniform throughout the world, as you all know. Everywhere you cannot have same number of plants and animals, but it is rather going to show an uneven distribution. Okay, so for many group of animals or plants, there are interesting patterns of diversity, you can say. So first one is in that latitudinal gradients, and second one is species area relationship. So first one is latitudinal gradients. So in latitudinal gradients, they say that is the species diversity decreases as we decreases from the equator to the poles, or you can say species diversity decreases as we move away from the equator towards the pole. Okay, that is it may be North Pole or the South Pole. Hence, localities that are at lower latitudes have less number of species than the localities at higher latitudes. You have to keep this in mind. Okay, so that is species diversity goes on decreasing as we move away from the equator towards the pole. Okay, that is tropics. That is altitude range of 23.5 degree north to 23.5 degree south have more species than temperate or polar regions. So then here you can see that is examples they have given, that is the number of bird species. How that is, by giving the figures they are going to show you how there is a latitudinal or the species diversity decreasing as we move towards the pole. That is Colombia, which is located near the equator. Okay, Colombia, it is a name of country. Okay, so it has got 1400 species. Okay, this Colombia, which is located 40 species of birds, while New York, which is present at 41 degree Celsius north, has 105 species of birds, and Greenland, which is at 71 degree north, has only 56 species, while India, which is lying at the tropics, okay, has 1200 species of birds. So here they have this figures itself shows how the species diversity go on decreasing as we move towards the pole. Then again, another example you can give is the largely tropical Amazonian rainforest in South America has got the greatest biodiversity on the earth, because here tropical forest region like this tropical Amazon rainforest in South America has got the greatest biodiversity on earth, as it is a home for more than 40,000 species of plants, 3,000 species of different species of fishes, 1,300 species of birds, then 427 mammals, 427 of amphibians, 378 reptiles, more than 1,25,000 of invertebrates. So like this, this is how the species diversity what you can find in the Amazon rainforest. So another example they have given here for the latitude gradients, that is the tropical forest region like Ecuador has up to 10 times of vascular plant species as compared to temperate forest regions like Midwest of USA. Okay, so this is all about regarding the latitudinal gradients. Then one question is, why that is tropical regions contain more species diversity than the temperate regions? Can anybody answer me? So here you can see, as I already told you, that is the Amazon rainforest, that is tropical Amazonian rainforest, South America, has got richest biodiversity on earth, as I already mentioned you. That is 40,000 plants, 3,000 fishes, 1,300 birds, mammals, amphibians, reptiles, invertebrates, etc. So here the figures they have shown you. Then here the reasons for the tropical region contain more species diversity as compared to the temperate. In the past geological history, if you see, the temperate regions were subjected to frequent glaciation and drastic climatic changes, and unlike the tropical latitude, that is temperate regions had frequent glaciers, that is ice melting, and there was frequent climatic changes as compared to tropical. The tropical regions, whereas the tropical regions as compared to temperate regions had less temperature fluctuations and were more or less stable, having stable environmental condition, and this might have favored species diversification. Okay, so here reasons for highest biodiversity in the tropics is, first of all, tropics had more evolutionary time, then relatively constant environment, that is less seasonal, they receive more solar energy which contributes to greater productivity. Okay, so this is the reason why your temperates have, that is the tropics have more diversity than the temperate. Okay, so tropical region have less fluctuation in their environmental condition, less fluctuation in their temperatures. They receive more sunlight which is available for the plants, hence they can contribute to more higher productivity, and this, that is, indirectly contribute to the greater diversity. So this is all regarding the latitudinal gradients. Then next one is the species area relationship. So species area relationship is also called as SAR. So here it is one of the most fundamental ecological relationship which was observed by a German naturalist, that is Alexander von Humboldt. Okay, Alexander von Humboldt while exploring the jungles of South America. Okay, when you are exploring, he found out on some fundamental ecological relationship. Okay, and according to him, the species richness increases with increasing explored area, but this happens only up to a certain limit. Okay, so when he was exploring jungles of South America, he could find that the species richness is going to increase with the increasing explored area, but up to certain limit. Okay, then ecologists have graphically documented this relationship through a species area relationship curve, that is a SAR curve. Okay, the relation between the species richness and the area for a wide variety of taxa turns out to be a rectangular hyperbola. So here that is on logarithmic scale, you can see that is the relationship is a straight line and is explained by the equation log S is equal to log C plus Z log A, where S stands for species richness, C stands for y-intercept, Z stands for slope of the line. Okay, here the slope of the line or regression has a greater significance and will help us to study the rate of species increase with area that is increase with area between different regions. You can see on the one side of the graph, that is species richness is given and the area is given, and you are going to find a straight line that is on logarithmic scale. You can find it is a relation is a straight line and is explained by this equation, that is log S is equal to log C plus Z log A. Okay, then next is the relation between the species richness and the area gives a rectangular hyperbola, and usually for small area, that is here the value of Z in smaller areas is similar regardless of taxonomical group, but in larger areas like entire continent, here Z, that is entire continent, here Z is much steeper. Okay, the value of Z, that is in smaller area it will be 0.1 to 0.2, but for the larger areas it will be 0.6 to 1. For example, for frugivorous birds, fruit eating birds and mammals in the tropical forest of different continents, the Z value is high because it is an entire continent where the Z value will be high. Okay, so here that is you can see the graphs, that is here a straight line as well as a curved rectangular hyperbola, etc. Okay, then coming to the importance of species diversity. So here species diversity is going to play a very significant role in increased stability, higher productivity and normal functioning of the ecosystem. If every increased stability is there, productivity is there, normal functioning is there, it is due to because of species diversity. So this, according to this David Tillman, plots with more species shows lesser year to year variation in total biomass. So here when there is increased biodiversity, that is going to contribute to increased or higher productivity, and that is essential for environment or ecosystem to be healthy and survival of the human race. So here, that is species diversity, as I already told you, it is going to play a significant role in increased stability, higher productivity, okay, and normal functioning of the ecosystem. Then we will first see how there is a increased stability which is seen. Okay, so here, that is, communities with higher number of species tend to be more stable as compared to the communities with less number of species. Okay, so stable community should not show much variations in productivity from year to year, and it must be resistant towards disturbance. That is, whatever may be the kind of resistance, it may be man-made or natural resistance, that is man-made disturbances, they should be resistant to them. Okay, and that will only lead to increased stability of that particular community. Then it must be resistant to invasion of alien species. If some foreign species come and get added to it, then also if it is stable, if it is resistant, that may increase the stability of that particular population or particular community. Okay, then here, that is, they have given, that is, next one is the higher productivity. Higher productivity is also going to contribute to the species diversity. So the communities with increased diverse contributes to higher productivity. So communities which have got increased diversity contributes to the higher productivity. For example, here the David Tillmans, okay, he did a long term ecosystem experiments using outdoor plants and provide some tentative answers. He found that plots with some species show less year to year variation in total biomass. Then if we have species diversity, you can have healthy functional ecosystem. So species diversity will enhance healthy ecosystem functioning. For example, here the Paul and Rich, that is a Stanford ecologist, put forth Rivet Popper hypothesis. Paul and Rich, Rich, he put forth, that is Rivet Popper hypothesis, to explain the importance of each species. Okay, in an aeroplane, that is, which is considered as an ecosystem, all the parts are joined together using thousands of rivets, that is nothing but the species. If every passenger, that is an aeroplane which is nothing but your ecosystem, all the parts are nothing but the that is the species. If every passenger traveling in it starts popping a rivet, start removing a rivet to take home, okay, suppose an aeroplane is there, many of them you are traveling, aeroplane is nothing but it is considered as an ecosystem, it is compared to an ecosystem. Then there are different parts in the aeroplane, okay, those are considered, that those are compared to the species. Then if you are traveling, and while traveling, if you are trying to take popping a reward to take home, suppose if you are there traveling, and then if each one of them start to take one part of the aeroplane to their home, that will cause species to become extinct. It may not affect flight safety, that is nothing but proper functioning of the ecosystem initially, but as more and more rivets are removed, the plane becomes dangerously weak. For example, you are traveling, and if you start, that is collecting the different parts of the aeroplane, okay, then initially you will not find difficulty in moving or the flight, but as you gradually go on removing all the parts, that is ultimately going to affect the flight, which will make it very weak. Just like the same thing, that is this Paul explained it with reference to biodiversity. He compared the plane with the ecosystem, different parts of the plane with the help of species. And if you go on exploiting all the species of the ecosystem, initially it is not going to affect the ecosystem, but as you go on exploiting and exploiting, that is your ecosystem may one day get that is lost. Okay, as a thing that is the loss of rewards on the wings is obviously more serious threat to the flight safety than loss of few rivets on the seats, windows, etc. Okay, he says that is if you that is rob, or if you take the parts of the aeroplane, just like the seat, windows and everything, that is not going to affect much. But if you go on, if you go and take the parts which are concerned to the wings, that is going to affect the flight more. Just like he tries to say that if you try to spoil, or if you try to extend the key species of that ecosystem, that is going to affect more, or it will have very bad effect on the ecosystem. Hence biodiversity is going to boost ecosystem productivity, whereas each species, no matter how small, all have got their own important role to play. So remember, never ever underestimate a single species, because each species in the biodiversity, or each system, each species and ecosystem is very much important. And if there is more ecological, if there is more diversity, or that is the biodiversity will be enriched only when there are more number of species, no doubt, however small they may be. Okay, so this is all regarding the that is the importance of having species diversity in the ecosystem. So here the very nicely they have shown you in the aeroplane, which is considered an ecosystem, all the points are joined. Okay, all the rivets means parts. Okay, then here if you lose the rivets on the wings, that is the key species that drive major ecosystem functions. Okay, if you destroy all the key species which are present in the ecosystem, that is going to badly affect the ecosystem. Okay, the next is regarding the